Apparently, they call days like this Super Sunday. 5 games for you tonight, including Liverpool versus Manchester City. We won't try to hype Danny Murphy and Martin Keown. First at Anfield and the meeting of last season's top two, who've gone in opposite directions since.
If you want to beat City in the league, you have to be close to perfect.
Foden! It is the definition of fantasy football.
Liverpool and Man City in the last years, we raised the bar, that's for sure.
Important, yeah. So we obviously cannot be too picky in our situation. We cannot decide, choose games where we think we can have 3 points. We have to get 3 points, and the boys showed that obviously today, that they understood that, and then against the best team in the world, it's incredibly difficult. But we deserve the 3 points with a really exceptional performance.
We play really well, and we create chances. They create because we cannot expect in Anfield, but most of the time we were really good, and we make a mistake to don't control the transitions that we know they can do it. We'll lose the duel, and after they are so clinical and so good.
Have you seen the goal that was disallowed again? Have you changed your mind, or?
Me personally, I don't see enough reason, especially with the referee, 3-4 meters away, from the situation and having clear vision to the action. I don't see the reason why it got back to VAR. So I think the goal should have stand.
The referee decided to speak with the managers, with Jurgen and my assistant coach, to say, I'm not going to be fault and to be clear, and happen all the time in that way. You cannot disallow the goal. But if you decide in the first minute, so fault, maybe it's fault. But, this is Anfield.
You paid the price late on in the game with a red card. Was that today's frustrations, or is that a build-up more than today?
Look, in my situation, I have to take everything. You can take. Look, I look older, I look tired, I look all these kind of things. I'm old, not tired, and in that moment, then it snapped. So my fault. But I hope we agree. A match of the day, you have enough time to look at that situation, and maybe somebody in the studio finds the explanation why that was not a foul.
People are making out that things have been really bad, when it's not been really bad. Obviously it's been bad, but there was never something in the middle, of course. I think we did very well, especially first half. Second half, defend a little bit more, and that's what you have to do against the champions.
Well, there was only one goal in that game, and Jurgen Klopp asked us to look at something that actually we're not going to have time to look at because there is so much to unpick.
Well, my head's spinning. How long have we got? It was a terrific game. 2 wonderful teams. I thought Liverpool played their best 90 minutes of the season, especially in the second half. I thought they were really good. I thought they exploited Manchester City's, let's say, unusual tactics very well. I don't think Pep's team set up the right way, but we'll have a look at it. Here's the back three. There's the 2 wing-backs high and wide, 2 holding midfielders, 2 attacking midfielders. It's high risk. It was more like a cup game in many ways. Liverpool were on them early, winning tackles, pressing. As soon as they win the ball back, transition, they've got a 4v3. You can't have that at Anfield, especially early in the game. It was quite an even first half, but a better ball there, they could have been in. Here you notice De Bruyne let Elliott go, who was superb today, by the way, the young man. Normally he'd be passing him on to a full-back who's not there. There's the 2 high wing-backs, Cancelo and Foden. The back 3, all over the place, not used to playing in this formation, no communication, lack of cohesion. Better ball from Jota, you've got another 2v1, another overload on Ake, Elliott and Salah. Didn't quite happen. And the same thing kept happening in the second half. Don't get me wrong, City did make some good opportunities themselves playing this way because it is high risk. Salah's movement there is absolutely superb. Firmino in the hole. Again, getting in behind too easily, something we don't see many teams do against City. Gomez, watch this for a pass and a touch from Elliott. On the turn, they're out. There you've got a 3v3. Yeah. High-risk tactics from Manchester City. And then when you see them recover here and get back into some sort of shape, Cancelo, your right wing-back's now the left centre-half. Ake, the left centre-half of the 3, is now a right-back. And Jota's on his own in the box. This just isn't what we see Manchester City do. I think they made a mistake. But Liverpool jumped on them. And the precision, the intensity of Liverpool's play in the second half, the desire to get men forward, there you go, overload, 4v3. As I said, like an FA Cup game, like a semi-final, quarter-final where you've got to win. And then any defender one-on-one with Salah, you can make a mistake. He can beat you with skill. The fact is, again, you're playing high-risk football. Wonderful finish from a brilliant player who was back to his best today and deserves great credit for silencing the critics. Salah's best game today. And just one thing actually on City. You know, sometimes if it ain't broken, don't fix it.
And I suppose that's the thing in all this, because City still, yeah, I mean, you're going to look at Liverpool's defence in a little while, but City still caused Liverpool problems offensively by how they played today.
Yeah, because that's the philosophy, isn't it, for Pep? He feels that he can play with 3 at the back and maybe take the game. He wanted all his footballers on the pitch today. It didn't quite happen. 63% possession. I think Liverpool, they were quite inspired, and Mo Salah eventually. And in the end, Danny, it was Route 1 football with all those tactics. Yeah. Goalkeeper kicks it long.
But they'd had chances before, hadn't they?
Correct. That gave him the confidence to ultimately finish off the game for Liverpool. But, you know, you have to say City, they did. I think that the tactics they played made it easier for Liverpool to get at them, shall we say.
Yeah.
Because your argument could be that if they had with the same formation that they'd always played, the same way they always played, they could probably still have caused Liverpool the same amount of problems, but not been as open at the back.
I just think when Liverpool are playing really well, I understand trying to make a tactical change to try and cause them a problem. But Liverpool have been struggling a bit for confidence. City have been rolling over teams. Yeah. They lost their balance. At times, I saw them defending, unlike City. They didn't have any composure. It was this we'll attack, you attack, we'll attack. And there was no cohesion. It was a great game, and City had chances as well, but it wasn't a City-like performance. There wasn't that control. But let's give Liverpool some credit. I mean, they raised their game today. They played with an intensity without the ball, but in the second half, the key to the win was the quality with the ball.
And also, their much maligned defence at times.
It was about
this
restoring.
Season was excellent.
Yeah, they had to restore that reputation. And Gomez as a player, I've got a lot of empathy for. He's had a really bad injury. He snapped his patella tendon. It takes you 2 years to get back from that. I did a partial rupture myself. And it's been slow. But today I thought with Van Dijk, the two of them were really solid, really strong. And Haaland, with 20 goals going into the game, you've got to sniff him out. And he did that really well. Excellent defending. And he's got the skill set as well, the young man, to work this out. Now, people panic about body shape as a defender. It's like, OK, you don't have to be able to see him, but if you can sense where he wants it, and he wants it there, Gomez knows that. And he just drops off nicely, comes across, look, he's really organised, gets a block in, shuts him off. I like his pace as well. He's going for it now. He's showing that he's getting that pace back, dealing with things in the channels, which is really important. This is like your back four. Look at his body shape, marking. They're almost in 2 pairs here. Van Dijk knows, I don't want the overlap there. I've got to get back. So he puts the burners on and shuts off that near post. Haaland's being picked up at the far post. They're all working together as a unit. Here again, Van Dijk knows he's pulling off. He's trying to pull off the shoulder, but he comes up to the ball, which is something he's not been doing. You've got to come up to the problem and snuff it out. And then it was a long distance shot in the end. And again, the 4 are in their shape. This is again, just drop off. Sense where he wants it. He wants it in there. He makes it look so easy, but he's been punishing everyone with those runs. This one here, he has to thank his mate for. Because Van Dijk doesn't switch off, and he does. He looks over his shoulder. He just gets that one there. But I have to say Gomez and his Southgate will be looking, there's a problem for central defenders. This young man's got everything he needs to play in a back 3 or a back 4. He has to make it to the World Cup squad if he continues to play in that manner.
So look at Manchester City's disallowed goal here, which VAR intervened on. Guardiola's point afterwards and was Anthony Taylor had allowed the game to flow. He let a lot of challenges go. In fact, he let the Salah one on Bernardo Silva on Salah a bit later go. If you're refereeing in that way, was he right to let this go originally?
Yeah, I think the majority of people have been pleased with the improvement of letting the game go.
Particularly Taylor, actually. He's one, isn't he?
He's very good.
Very high bar.
I mean, Graham Souness talked about it earlier in the season as well, and I agreed with him in the fact that it makes the game better to watch. We all like a bit of passion. And I think I would rather them get the odd one wrong and have to come back than keep blowing up and feel like you're never getting any rhythm to the game.
So even though he'd refed it in a certain way, was he right to overrule himself when he went to the screen on that one?
Yes, he was.
Because he pulled his shirt. It was a foul.
And that's the case where VAR is working excellently. And just because that's obviously an important goal into the game, so he has to then bring it back. So that's perfect.
Well, VAR gives the platform for the referees to be able to let it go and then pull back if there's a mistake, rather than the other way around.
Okay, and we were told as well that if it hadn't have been disallowed for the shirt pull, it would have then been disallowed for Haaland's challenge on Alisson. Right, let's move on.
Going back that far, I think once he's let play go on, because otherwise you just keep going back and back and back. And I don't know. It's probably being a neutral, I would say I think it's pretty hard.
I think it's the question then, who's reffing the game? Is it the VAR or is it the referee? Because Michael makes a great point there. The referee's seen it, thought maybe it's not enough to give a free kick. The goal scores on the back of that, and then the VAR guys go, so hang on, we'll have a look at this. So is the ref refereeing, or is the guy in the VAR wagging down?
Hang on, 20 seconds ago you thought it was the right decision.
Well, I thought it was a foul. But what I'm saying is the referee's seen it live, and he thought there's not enough to give a foul.
Right.
Everyone thinks it's a foul, and it is a foul, but it's just whether it's sort of big enough foul in the right area and everything else, just to keep going back and try. Because I just feel that every time that a goal is scored, then we're trying to nitpick and try to find a reason to disallow it. That's my point.
Okay.
We're trying to disallow goals all the time. Whereas the referee's seen that, okay, it's a foul, but you didn't give it. So is it bad enough to keep going back? I don't think so.
Okay, talking to goals, a man who you all know well, who's normally sitting alongside us here, has been watching at a different vantage point today. The Premier League's all-time record goal scorer, Alan Shearer, is stateside in Philadelphia at the Premier League Fan Fest. He always is, schmoozing with the most important people around. How's it been in Philadelphia, Alan?
They're all asking after you, Steve. Don't worry, they haven't forgotten you. It's been fantastic over here. Their passion and enthusiasm to see Premier League football is off the scale. I mean, I've been very fortunate enough to go to 5 of these events in Washington, LA, Austin, and others. But this one this weekend in Philadelphia has just been amazing. They love their Premier League football, and there was around about 7,000 or 8,000 here yesterday, and there's 8,000 or 9,000 that have been here today, and it's been a terrific atmosphere. It really has.
And they saw a terrific game, particularly in that second half at Anfield. What did you make of it?
Yeah, it was a cracking game. Two teams going toe-to-toe against each other. Before Liverpool got their goal. It was a great game, particularly that second half, and just listening to the guys there, and that's what I've been sending a couple of texts also. Read the goal. I mean, the referee let so much go, which I thought was a good thing, because there's two sides going in a great battle, going head to head against each other, and you should be allowed to tackle. You are going to get 1 or 2 tackles that go in, but I thought the referee let so much go right up until he was told that no, you need to go and have a look at the screen here, because he'd sort of missed that one. Was it enough to give the foul? Possibly just, but I thought there were so many other fouls that he could have given and didn't during that game as well.
I know what your interpretation would have been if you were in Erling Haaland's situation anyway. What do you think it'll do for Liverpool in this season?
Well, that was a big question. Were Liverpool going to sit down and be beaten off Manchester City today, or were they going to come out all guns blazing and flying and full of confidence after their win in midweek? And they had to prove a point today. Their players had to prove a point in front of their crowd, and I think they've done that today. So that should get their season back on track.
Just one from me, Al, about the earlier game, Newcastle and obviously Manchester United, 0-0 draw. Who do you think that suits better, the home team or the away team?
Well, I said before the game, Shearer would have taken a point from a Newcastle point of view, and that's what they got. I thought they deserved that. I didn't think either team did enough to have deserved to have won the game. I know Man United missed a couple of big chances late on in the game, but Newcastle missed a couple of big chances also in that first half. I thought Newcastle tired a bit second half. They made 1 or 2 substitutions, which they had to do, and were put under pressure, which you'd expect in the dying moments, particularly at Old Trafford. But I thought a draw was a fair result.
Alan, just finally, Rafa's wondering what he's got to do to get on your VIP list.
He's on it already. He knows that. He knows the Newcastle fans loved him.
Yeah, we have a very good relationship.
Safe flight home. Good to talk to you.
Cheers. All the best, guys. Thanks.
Alan Shearer in Philadelphia, and he, like us, have been watching these games on